Hello and welcome to the Voice of Todd. I'm Tom, and today we're going to talk about that WandaVision finale. So this is WandaVision episode 9, titled This Season Finale. We're going to dive into my thoughts and a little bit on what I think is going to happen with the MCU following the fallout of this show. There will be spoilers, but I'm going to try and keep it very low key until what I think is really relevant to what I'm talking about. And a lot of this episode was battle sequences between our heroes and the not really villains. So let's just jump straight in. This episode to me is 60% battles, 40% feelings, 100% sticking the landing. That's a bit of a lie. Maybe 80% sticking the landing. There are problems. I have issues. And forgetting how I feel about the last two episodes, there are a few issues with this episode that I'm probably choosing to glaze over a little bit. We'll talk about them, don't worry. But for me, where it really counted, this stuck the landing. I enjoyed the story that they told. Overall, I think the show has been very good. And bearing in mind this is really just all about Wanda, it ties off this story that they were telling, I think, quite nicely. The battles themselves. Let's get into that big CGI stuff first. They're split between 70% Wanda versus Agatha, 28% Papa Vision, who is Wanda's vision, and White Vision, and 2% the twins against Sword, with a little bit of Junior thrown in, because Junior shows up to not save the day, I guess. The battles themselves are done really well. The CGI is incredible, and it looks like about 50% of the budget of the entire show was spent on this episode. But it looks really good. The magic, which you will probably know I'm not a big fan of, does actually work. Maybe that's because you've got two evenly matched, not necessarily in ability, but two evenly matched witches going at it, and it worked for me. And it isn't all just flicking your hand around and flashy spells. There was a lot more to it than that. So it didn't feel out of place, and it worked for the story. Basically, Agatha is trying to steal or absorb Wanda's magic. And with every attack that Wanda makes that hits her, she pulls more power out of Wanda, to the point where Wanda ends up being pretty disheveled, almost corpseified. Doesn't look good, but it looks good, but it doesn't look good for her. Probably because, I don't know, Agatha has reasons. She's got more reasons for what she's doing than Haywood does in this episode, let's be honest. But it ends up with Wanda learning enough from Agatha to put runes around the hex, meaning Agatha can't cast spells, and Wanda just absorbs her magic, and it seems like all of Agatha's magic back, making her more powerful, I'm guessing more powerful than she was when we started this, or at least knowing how powerful she is now. She turns Agatha back into Agnes to live out her days in Westview. Agnes, I'm going to jump between Agatha and Agnes because I don't really know what we call her anymore. But she does give Wanda a warning how she doesn't know what she's done after taking all her power. Maybe that's hinting to something that's going to happen in Doctor Strange 2. Maybe it's just going to get swept under the carpet like some of the other stuff I think in here will. But at least Wanda knows where to find her in the future, and it sounds like we're going to get more Agatha down the line, which I'm not against. Like I said, don't think she's a villain. I think if she does appear in Doctor Strange 2, it will be as an ally, maybe even a friend to Wanda, because I don't know, we don't have many witches in the MCU at this point. It's also revealed that the book is the Darkhold. I don't know what this means for the future of MCU, and I don't know what it means for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which previously had the Darkhold in. It also had the second Ghost Rider, the Ghost Rider with a car, I don't know what his name is. He was in it as well. So is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. canon now? Is it allowed to be counted as canon, or is it completely separate but there's certain things that tie it together? I don't really know where all of it fits in. But from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. we know the Darkhold isn't a good thing. Maybe it's going to be the same here. But Wanda has it. Might link in to Doctor Strange 2, but we know very little about Doctor Strange 2, so who knows. A lot of this stuff I don't know where it's going to go, I'll be honest about that now. Before we get into the Vision battle, or the Visions battle, we'll touch on two of the things that really bugged me about this episode. The first one is Sword and Hayward. Sword in this episode are utterly pointless. They manage to get inside the hex. Wanda opens it up at one point and they get inside. And they are disabled and disarmed by the twins in about 5 seconds. So Hayward gets out of his truck and just decides to shoot at them. There's no reason for it. Hayward's a fucking joke at this point. It's ridiculous. Junior shows up, jumps in front of the bullets which pass through her body but lose all energy, or I don't really know what she does, but apparently her power is stopping bullets. And then Hayward jumps in a truck and tries to run them over, but Darcy crashes into him. It was stupid. It was so stupid. It's such a waste of a potentially interesting character. We don't even know what Hayward's motives are. Does he want Vision? Does he want Wanda? What's he even doing? If he's this stupid, how the hell did he get in charge of a division under Nick Fury? Because that's what Sword is. Sword, I mean, Nick Fury's head of Sword now, right? So Nick Fury should know what kind of people he's got in charge. Guy's a moron. Just like the writers, because they've wasted this character completely. It could have been interesting, especially after last episode, where you actually see him being more human and not a total jerk, but sticking to his guns with what he thinks is right for Sword and Earth, I guess. I just don't think the writers knew what to do with him in the end, so they gave him a stupid ending. But that's not the only stupid ending we get. Which takes me into problem number 2. We do get an answer on Fox Pietro, more than an answer than Agatha's controlling him to be like Pietro but different, look different kind of thing. He is a guy called Ralph Boner. Let that just sink in for a second. Of all the things that they could have done with this story, of all the ways they could have looked at bringing in other X-Men characters or mutants or anything at all, the writers thought it would be a better idea and a more satisfying ending to this character to just make him be a normal fucking idiot called Ralph Boner. I think you understand why I think this is stupid, and you probably think it's stupid as well, because it's really stupid. But they were the only two things, and they stand out against everything else. They stand out pretty well. This is the season finale. I'm gonna let it slide, because I've had enough fun with this show, and that's what this stuff is about. This stuff is about having fun. And I've had enough fun with this for that to just wash over me at this point. But let's get to the really fun stuff. Standout moment 1. There are 2. But standout moment 1. Papa Vision versus White Vision battle. And through the first sort of 20 minutes, we go 3 or 4 times to them. It's really well done. They're evenly matched, and it felt like a proper MCU Vision here. They're fighting, but they're fighting in that Vision way of like dipping in and out of reality or translucency or whatever, and Really good, really well done. They end up having a philosophical debate about the ship of Theseus. If you've seen the episode, it'll make sense, don't worry. But it's how Vision was introduced when he went out into the woods with Ultron at the end of Age of Ultron, and he kills Ultron. But they have the conversation. Vision wants to understand. And it just felt like we had that back. It ends up with Papa Vision releasing White Vision from Sword's control, or blockers, or whatever they'd put in place of his memories. So White Vision now remembers everything, and he just flies off. I don't know why. He just bugged out. But it was a really well done scene, and it's like double the Paul Bettany, but really worked, it really stood out. And Bettany has been the standout for this show for me. He's been absolutely incredible. Every episode, loved him. We are moving into the second standout pretty quickly, to be honest, but there is something I just want to touch on first. With the fighting done, and our not really villains disabled or vanished. Yeah, so anyway, the fighting's done. It's time to say goodbye. Wanda's realised that her hold on this world hasn't been good, and what she's done to the normal people who are trapped inside. She has dropped the hex. It's moving in slowly, and everything is returning to normal, or will return to normal. But it gives Wanda the chance to say goodbye to Papa Vision and the twins. It's a really well done scene. It's really heartfelt, and it really worked for me. I think, in particular, the dialogue between Wanda and Papa Vision at the end. There's some big revelations, but it felt real, with two actors who clearly love what they're doing and clearly have great chemistry. But we learn that Papa Vision, and I'm assuming the twins, although it's never really confirmed, but it is heavily hinted at, were created of the part of the Mind Stone that is inside Wanda that gives her her powers, or expands her powers, or whatever it does. Now this could either be a huge revelation going forward, or it could just be brushed under the carpet. We don't really know. But it explains enough of how this world was created, and how Papa Vision seemed so much like Vision. So I'm okay with it. The goodbye scene is my second standout, because the acting is superb. But the show ends in a very different way to what I was expecting. It ends with Wanda giving up everything that she loves. With the dome coming down, she loses Vision and the twins because they're tied to the dome. They apparently will live on inside her in some way, if I'm understanding that right. But it's a very hopeful ending. It's not bleak, she doesn't turn crazy. She almost accepts. And she's processed her grief and worked through her issues. And she's learned more about herself and her powers. She's also gained the Darkhold, which might not be a good thing. But it seems to be setting her up as an exceptionally powerful character in the MCU moving forward. There are two extra scenes. The mid-credit scene is a little bit with Jimmy Woo, who I think for me over this entire show has been a real big standout. I really like Randall Park, and I'd like to see more of Jimmy Woo, but he's taking control of the situation. He's sort of telling the FBI agents who have showed up how they can help and what's been going on, and doing the commandery stuff. Really cool, really liked him. He does have a minor conversation with Junior, who is then dragged into the old cinema by, I'm guessing, an FBI agent. Turns out she's a Skrull, who has been sent by Nick Fury to take Junior back to space or something. I don't know, I don't really care. It's clearly setting up Captain Marvel 2. Fine. They needed to do it. We knew that we'd be getting more of Junior, so that's fine. The second, which is the true post-credit scene. I think it was filmed in New Zealand, but wherever it was filmed, it was absolutely stunning scenery. Just beautiful. It's Wanda. She is in a wooden cabin on her own, which I don't understand. Maybe there's like a comic book reason why White Vision isn't with her. I would have thought that White Vision would have found her, and because they still have the relationship, right? He'd still remember all of that. But she's alone. She's learned how to separate her soul from her body. So her body's just going around like drinking tea, I'm guessing eating food, sleeping, doing what it needs to do to survive. The spirit is reading from the Darkhold. Probably not a good thing. And now's probably a good time to touch on the new costume that she has. The proper Scarlet Witch. Looks really cool. I really like the design. But yeah, so that's probably what she's going to be wearing moving forward. But she hears the twins crying for help. And then it fades to black. I don't know what that means. It's hinting at something. Maybe Doctor Strange 2 is going to have the twins in. I don't really need it. For me, this was a very strong ending overall. Yes, there's problems. Yes, there's issues with this episode, and episode 7 and 8 are pretty big issues anyway. But I can forgive it, because I had fun. It felt pretty solid in the end. The show is meant to revolve around Wanda, and I think the arc that she was on and the story they were trying to tell with her is well resolved, and overall handled well throughout the 9 episodes. We know that this being the MCU, they're always going to be pointing towards the next project to try and keep people interested, and it's worked with the films. No reason why it won't work for this. The core cast of Elizabeth Olsen, Paul Bettany and Catherine Hahn have been incredible. Every week, they've gotten better and better and better. It's clear that they have believed the story that the writers have been wanting to tell. They've connected with the characters that they were playing. And kudos to them, because they've done an incredible job at making this believable. In the MCU way, but they are clearly the perfect casting for these characters. And it's worked again. Did great work. Absolutely great work. But what does this mean? I don't know. I really don't. Wanda is probably all-powerful now. We know she's back in Strange 2. We don't have any clue of what that story is going to be about that I'm aware of. We know Junior will be back. White Vision will probably show up somewhere. That's it, really. I think it's strange, really, really strange, that it doesn't set Wanda up for a villain. She's just trying to learn about her powers. But as I say, it worked. It's good enough for me to just be happy with what I've watched, recommend it to people who enjoy this kind of thing, or like the MCU. Yeah, it was good enough. It was good enough. But what's next for the MCU? Well, the next offering is Falcon and the Winter Soldier. That's followed by the Loki series, and then I think it's going to be the Black Widow film, which may or may not be released in cinemas. We know that Black Widow isn't going to push the story much further forward because it's set in the past, or most of it is set in the past, we think. So I guess the next big film is going to be the Eternals. Apparently the Eternals is finished. Apparently it's really mind-blowingly amazing and filled with awesomeness that we can't even imagine, because it's better than anything we've ever seen in the MCU. I don't care for it, as you can probably tell. If it's finished, show us. Why should we care about the Eternals? Why should we care about the rest of the MCU? For me, Endgame is still the perfect finish for the characters that I loved. I really enjoyed this. I enjoyed this more than Spider-Man Far From Home. But I'm not looking forward to Falcon and Winter Soldier. I will watch it. I don't care. Loki could be very interesting, but again, based on what this show has done, how much is it really going to change the MCU? We don't know yet. We don't really know much about the Loki show anyway. I guess at the minute I'm really just holding out for Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and, alright, after this, Doctor Strange 2. I will watch that and I will keep my eye out for a trailer or something to give us an idea, but that's still very early in development, I think. Might be tempted by X-Men, if they do something with the X-Men, be it a film or a TV series or something, but are they really going to go near X-Men if that's how they're going to treat the Fox X-Men here? With Ralph bloody Boner? A pathetic, really pathetic letdown of what they could have done with the Fox characters. But that's... I think everybody feels like that. That's all I've really got, to be honest. I've decided not to cover Falcon and the Winter Soldier weekly. It does start, if it's not next week, it's the week after. I am going to watch it. I'm probably going to do a series review. But as I've mentioned, I don't think there's anything there for me. I'll give it a go, keep an open mind and all that, but we'll do a season review. Unless it's really good and I need to cover it. But don't expect to see that weekly. And Loki, the jury's still out, I'm not entirely sure. We do still have our ongoing Firefly reviews. We're up to episode 5 called Safe this week, that'll drop on Wednesday, so stay tuned for that. And lots more content, news reactions, maybe even some Let's Plays, as I'm trying to get back into doing more gaming on the channel. So if you enjoyed this or any of my other content, please do hit that subscribe button. Show your support, it really means the world and it really helps out a lot. You can follow on Twitter if you want to keep up to date for the sort of latest drops of content and streams and things. All of that is in the description below. And that's, I guess, where I'm going to end this video. So as always, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.